Now, there's 3 stages of business growth that you're going to go through, okay? And the first stage is up to the $1 million mark. And up to the $1 million mark, I know you guys don't like this, but it's kind of proof of concept. Because most business owners you can kind of bootstrap to $1 million. If you can get your business to $1 million, that's when you've got, if you talk to investors, you can ask Kevin O'Leary, $1 million, that's what they consider proof of concept. So this is not just my definition, this is other business investors and people like even Shark Tank, if you talk to them, $1 million is kind of the proof of concept stage. It requires heavy investment into sales and marketing because that's all you're doing is customer acquisition. If you watch Shark Tank, which you should all do because it's a free seminar, I actually got invited twice. Damon John invited me, and Robert invited me to go sit on Shark Tank, and I watched the filming. And the one question they ask every single one of them, which that doesn't always, they usually last about an hour to an hour and a half, the full thing, and they cut it down to like 10 minutes. The one question they always ask everybody is, what's your customer acquisition costs? And by the way, P.S., if you don't know, they don't do a deal with you. Because what you're signaling to them is you don't understand marketing, right? Marcus Lemonis was just doing this. Ask Marcus. I saw him just doing this with a small business owner. What's your customer acquisition cost? What's your lead cost? They didn't know. And he got after me. He said, look, you got to know this. You're small business. This is your biggest expense. This is the thing you got to know. So it requires heavy investment into sales and marketing. 79% of the industry never gets beyond the stage, even after 20 years in business, okay? So that's stage 1. We got to just get you to $1 million, okay? Now, that's the easy part, all right? Because I call the stage 2, which is $1 million to $5 million, this is the valley of death. And I went through it myself, all right? And what it is, it's between that 1 million and 5 million, and 3.5 is the bottom of the valley, all right? Because because you can bootstrap it to $1 million. If you work hard, you implement the campaigns, you work a lot of hours, you're going to be able to do it. Where you're transitioning from $1 million to 5, you've got to learn the next skill, which is you have to learn how to hire and delegate. And that's your next big problem, because I deal with it all the time with Producers Club members. They come to me and they're like, Robin, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. I constantly ask them, do you have a marketing person? Do you have a marketing admin? Do you have a salesperson? No. I'm like, the reason you're struggling and you're stressed and you're overwhelmed is you are trying to be part-time CEO, part-time HR, part-time lead tech, part-time help desk, part-time admin, part-time HR, part-time payroll, part-time bookkeeper. I'm like, you're sliced in so many ways. You can't be effective at any of it. And you've got to start learning how to hire and manage people. And this, to me, actually, this was the hardest thing for me, was learning how to hire and manage people. Marketing is easy for me. But you cannot grow a company on your own back. You've got to start hiring people and managing people. So 3.5 is the middle, is the darkest, but it's almost like you bounce. It requires implementation of a more sophisticated sales and marketing where you're not doing it all. That's the thing. You've got to the first hire for most of you, you need hire a good admin. If you want to know who to hire first, if you don't have an admin, you are one. Right? So hire an admin. They can do a lot of marketing. They can do list cleaning. They can get newsletters out. They can get stuff proofread. They can do a lot of stuff. Don't hire a marketing manager because they're going to want a $60,000, $70,000 salary. Hire an admin and someone who's sharp and detail-oriented and direct their work. And I'm telling you, that's the best thing you're going to do. And then after that, maybe then think about a marketing manager. And then definitely, if you're looking at sales, probably an appointment setter is the next best hire. Someone who's going to call and make appointments for you. This isn't perfect, but sometimes you might need to hire you might come across a really good outside salesperson, and you just hire them because you find them. Sometimes that's the other thing. When you start hiring people, here's where you got to get into. When I find someone good, I hire them, and then I find a place for them. Because a good employee, guys, a good person on your team can multiply your business. Have anyone ever had a really good hire like that? And and you know how like you hire them and you're like, oh my God, life just got so much easier, right? So you got to constantly be looking for those people. You got to be constantly looking for those people. So it requires a more sophisticated sales and marketing approach. It requires the higher ability to manage a productive team, where you have to learn to run the business end of the business. All right, that's your next thing. And then profitability may dip during this phase because you're reinvesting, you're screwing up, you're making a lot of mistakes. That's okay, right? As long as you don't do it forever and you put yourself out of business, but your profitability might be like 5%, might be 10%. Because you're hiring people. So, everybody, we always talk about, top lines for vanity, bottom lines for sanity, but you also have to understand, like, there are years that I reinvest a big chunk of money, and it's like an investment, just like you would buy a stock, just like you would buy a piece of real estate. If I bought a piece of Florida real estate and it cost me $4 million, I'm not expecting to get $8 million back next month. You know what I mean? So you have to look at your business where you're doing these strategic investments in people, in technology, in process, in CRM systems, in marketing, and that's you're putting your money on the table and investing in yourself, all right? Now, the third stage, once you get past 5 million, I'm telling you, this is where people start to take off. And I'll tell you, when I got to 6 million, for whatever reason, 6 million was my bubble. When I got to 6 million, I literally said, I'm not even going to try to grow. And we grew 30% the next year. It's like you get the right people, you get the right marketing, you get the right target market, you get the right message, you get all that, and it just starts to work. So if you get to 5 million, you can get to 50 million. All right, you just do more of it and you just expand on what you're doing. So that's where real growth takes place. If you can get to 5 million, you can get to 50. Might it require expansion of market? So you might have to go outside of your 20-mile radius, 30-mile radius. You might have to have different divisions. You might set up a cybersecurity division. You might set up a telephony division. You might set up an application development division, because just to serve your customers where you see the opportunity. Because if I was only selling toolkits, guys, my business would probably be about 5 million in revenue. But I have the Infusionsoft division, I've got the Done For You division, I've got Big Red Virtual, I've got Big Red Media. So we're starting to build these circles around the core business. And I have to do that in order to grow. What also that does is gives me strength, because not all my money is in one bucket. All right, they're in multiple buckets with team leads where I'm not having to do all of the work. It requires the building of a leadership team with P&L responsibilities. Okay, so like Danny Hallman runs my Infusionsoft Keep division. Allison now runs our Done For You. Jeff runs Big Red Virtual. Ryan and Will are now running Producers and Accelerators, right? And they are running this. Like, I'm CEO. And believe me, I have a million ideas the way I can make more money. And I can't, but now the way I think about it is I always think about, if I have a money-making idea, the first thing I think of is, who am I going to hire to do it? That's the first question. Who am I going to hire? I'm going to put that person in, and I'm going to have them run it, and I'm going to feed it cash like an investor. So that's where you're going to get to. Like, you look at Tom Glover, who spoke, on stage. He has gotten to a place. I know a lot of people go, oh, well, he had acquisitions, so of course he grew. But you see, he's now thinking like an entrepreneur. So now he's running the business end of the business. And acquisitions is absolutely a way to grow. It's not perfect, because it comes with a lot of, organic growth has pros and cons, so does growing through acquisition. But you will start having to have a leadership team. And so Tom has done a great job. He has a sales team. He has a marketing team. He's got a technical lead and team. And now he's going out and doing these acquisitions and growing his business. So this is typically where most of the money is made. Okay, so from 5 million, you're reinvesting, and from there you're gonna grow. So